In this lesson, we will explore how to embed 21 CLD in your classroom practice. To prepare our students to live, learn and work in the 21st century, we need to develop a range of skills and competencies in addition to the core subject matter knowledge. Think about the courses you've engaged with so far. What skills or competencies do you think are necessary to plan and design learning opportunities for, so that your students can develop these particular skills? As we recap on the skills identified in the 21 CLD courses, think to yourself, which skills are particularly important for the group of students you are currently interacting with? Different groups of students will have varying needs, so how can you design learning opportunities to take account of this? As we recap briefly on what is involved in each dimension, think to yourself what skills you might focus on and why. To begin, when we consider collaboration, we ask ourselves, are students required to share responsibility and make substantive decisions with other people? Is their work interdependent? When we think of knowledge construction, we ask, are students required to construct and apply knowledge? And is that knowledge interdisciplinary? With self-regulation, we are considering if students plan and monitor their work and make revisions based on feedback or self-assessment. When we think of real-world problem-solving and innovation, we are focusing on if students solve problems for which there is no previously learned solution, if they make choices in their approach and implement their solution in the real world, and if that learning activity requires solving authentic real-world problems. And finally, are students' solutions implemented in the real world? When we consider skilled communication, we need to ask, are students required to communicate their own ideas regarding a concept or issue? Must their communication be supported with evidence and designed with a particular audience in mind? Considering the use of ICT for learning, we ask ourselves, are students passive consumers of ICT, active users, or designers of an ICT product for an authentic audience? Deciding which dimension to focus on initially will be determined by your context. By this we mean, what are your students' needs? There may also be particular school or curriculum priorities. However, what is important is not to overreach. Concentrate on what has been identified as being of importance and build on this. Build strong foundations by starting where you are and where your students are, but have sight of where you want to be. As we have outlined before, think of your learning design in the context of a semester or school year. Now ask yourself some questions to help clarify where you might begin and why. What skill are you going to focus on developing? Where do you think your students are with regard to the development of that particular skill? What learning activities will you design to enable your students develop this skill? Will you be working with other teachers? Are there going to be interdisciplinary links? Sometimes it helps to start with a learning unit you might have used before. Code this learning unit in relation to the skill you are trying to develop. Can you extend or develop other learning activities that will focus on developing the skill you have chosen? For example, if you are focusing on self-regulation, how can you build in learning opportunities for students to plan and monitor their own work and make revisions based on feedback or self-assessment? As you become more familiar with the dimensions, you will find you can plan for the development of a number of skills concurrently. Now, in the discussion area, we would like you to share your ideas about why you have chosen this learning unit and what learning activities you planned to develop this particular skill. What changes did you make to your original learning design? When you have tried out your learning plan, return to this discussion area and share what happened. Did things go to plan? What changes, if any, would you make to your learning design, and why? In the next lesson, we are going to examine how one teacher incorporated a number of 21 CLD dimensions into a learning unit.